You're definitely there. Here we are, October Red, back with Johnny BC Nelson. That's been like interrupting all my conversations, pulling faces.
Professional. You know what? I tried everything to twist it off. All you did was give me the bird on the spot.
I didn't actually do that, Johnny. I don't know what you're talking about.
You give me the bird.
You need to stop doing these vicious lies and rumours.
What hurts me is when I see you, I get cussed out, everybody gets a hug.
I've actually not said anything to you today, barely anything.
You said, take care off me. That's what you said.
Why was your hands on me, John? I mean, that's the real question. If I said that, where were your hands and why were they on me?
You went out to shake your hand.
Oh, is that what you were shaking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But we are here with Johnny Nelson at a beautiful hotel in London, the Dorchester. Quite happy to be here. But it's a card that's celebrating International Women's Day, which Lauren Price reminded me of because I didn't know. Royal Albert Hall, March the 7th, all-female card. Boxer does it once again.
You know what?
Boxer and Sky Sports, I beg your pardon.
There when Lauren was 5. I boxed there in 1990.
Did Frank Warren close the curtains? You know, when I saw you two on the broadcast the other day, I was so tempted to shout it. Sorry.
Close the curtains, Frank.
Yeah.
But I made him some money, though. Didn't tell you that.
What was it like on the broadcast with him? Sorry to interrupt. I just had a flashback to the Beterbiev Bivol presser, and I saw you two broadcasting on the Sky Sports stream. What was that like? Because I've never seen you two together. I know you used to fight for him, but...
Yeah, it's all right. It's respectful. You know,
he's funny.
Listen, I think Frank. You know, when you get to a stage in life when you're just cussing everybody out, you don't care. Like Bob Arum is.
Yeah.
That's where Frank is now. So you don't care.
Wasn't he always like that?
No. Frank's always been a bit. I think the difference between Frank and Eddie is Eddie's always been more approachable in any scenario. With his fights and everybody, whereas Frank hasn't. But I gather Frank, away from boxing, socially, he's apparently really good company. But this is business, and it's dog eat dog in this world. So I think Frank is reserved. He'll play the role he has to play with you. But I think now he's having to adapt to how people are, and so he's a lot more sociable now than he used to be. But it's funny because he just cusses out, and Frank never used to be like that. But I get it. He's at a stage in his life when he's done it all. He's seen it all come and go.
Back to when you were 5. Well, back to when Lauren was 5, and you boxed at the Royal Albert Hall. Sorry to interrupt that there. Let's get back to that flow.
Yeah. You know what? The Albert Hall is an amazing place and an amazing historical place. So you've got someone from Liverpool and someone from Wales boxing there in London. Why? Because it's such an historical event. International Women's Day week, I think, or day. And I think the bill will be one of those showstoppers again. The reason being is because if I've got to think back last year, and I'm trying to split it down between 10, I think, between 6, I think it's split, the women's fights and the men's fights. So I think the women put on amazing fights, you know, when you get to a certain level. And I think it's going to be a night of excitement, a night of inspiration for young girls and within that to empower them to say, you know, look at this is where we're at. So I'm looking forward to the night.
I'm looking forward to it as well. What I do like as well is like the way that they announced the headline. And then obviously we're here today. Don't worry, this isn't going out till after the press conference. We ain't got to worry about embargo or anything. Like Raven Chapman coming over from Queensbury with Caris Artinstall, your fighter. The togetherness, the amalgamation of the fighters, getting the fights done, making the best be the best. Talking about those 50-50 fights.
And you know what? Like it or not, I think that's the influence of Riyadh's season.
Of course it is.
It is because he's making these promoters, he's banging their heads together and saying, look, you're being stupid, get on with it. And so because of that, because he's made these guys get used to doing that, even if they don't like each other, they're going to work with each other. And you know what? It's worked well for Eddie. I mean, it's worked well for Frank because, you know, you got Frank and Eddie that were sworn enemies, and then they're doing a 5v5 and Frank's coming
again,
out on top.
So you think, two as well.
So I think Frank's basically said to himself, you know what, why am I doing that? My fight should be able to beat your fighters. And Eddie's saying the same, and Ben's probably saying the same. So it's created healthy competition, which it should have been the case a long time ago, but it needed somebody to book their heads together to get the job done.
But you know what it is as well, though, Johnny? And maybe I'm old school in my trail of thought. when Frank Warren came in, he had to prove himself. He was almost, they tried to bully him out of it as
He
well.
was Ben. He was the Ben.
And but the thing is, he's been in it, he's stayed in it, and now he's like, one for a better word, the top guy. So anybody else that comes through, he's going to put them through what we call like a baptism of fire.
He's going to put the head down the toilet like you do.
And it's almost like there's an order, there's a ranking system.
And that's what I'm saying.
I don't mind, no.
This job is not for the weak. And if this job is not for the weak, and and if you can't handle it, the heat, if you can't handle the pressure, if you can't handle the you get out. And Eddie and Frank, as I said, sworn enemies, and then they team up to kick the new kid out.
Do you think they're sworn enemies though?
Not anymore. Not anymore. But yeah, listen, I think
not anymore. But money's the only thing that stands in the way. If money wasn't there, they'd still be on it, wouldn't they?
If money wasn't involved, then they didn't have to work with each other, and they could eliminate one another. They would. They probably got more familiar with each other now. They're working with each other. But as I said, Frank's said to me when I was one of his fighters, I have to work with a lot of people I don't like. This is business. And so this is business. Frank and Eddie are two completely different characters. Would I see him going out for a drink socially together? No. Would I see him working together successfully? Yes. Do you think Eddie likes to find out Frank gets one over on him? Nah. So this is business.
But I like that though, because it's good to see that there's still a bit of competition between the promoters. Because yes, it's good that you're working together. It's lovely because we're getting the fighters mix it up. However, part of me, and maybe this is just the competitive side, would still like to see. No, I've got the best fighters. No, I've got the best fighters. Yeah, still that competitive, that drive there to be the best.
Yeah, and that's what it is. And that's what I'm saying. Eddie will look at me guys, it's just business, but it burns him. But he's probably got a better poker face than
most.
Yeah.
So talk to us about this card then, like I've just mentioned. Obviously, talk to us about the main fight. We've got Natasha Jonas versus Lauren Price. Talk to us about that.
You've got youth against wisdom. You've got a young lioness. You've got a young lioness fighting an older lioness, and Lauren is who Natasha used to be. That's right. Natasha's 40 years old. Lauren's 30 years old. This will be a 9th professional fight boxing someone as experienced as Natasha, and so therefore Natasha. Even when we did a gloves are off the other day, Natasha. Natasha. You can see Lauren was trying to make a bite, and Natasha won't have it. She kept just pouring water on her fire, So I just thought, and this is how it's going to be. Whenever there's confrontation, Natasha won't be spoken down to, but she'll not get into this back and forth, pick the foolishness. That's what she won't do.
Yeah. So how do you think the fight goes? You said wisdom versus youth. Do you think it's going to transpire into the fight?
Natasha's got to control the pace.
All right.
Natasha's got to control the nature of the beast in Lauren, and if she does that, she wins. But Lauren is going to put her under pressure to take away the pace from her, and that's what I'm saying. Who's going to be the strongest to control the pace, control the pattern of the fight? Because they're both good technical fighters.
I know it sounds a bit doom and gloom. But what happens for the person that doesn't come out as a winner?
Well, if it's Natasha, Natasha's made no secret of it that this is probably her last year of boxing before she finishes next year. So if it's Natasha loses, then I could see her walking away. For Lauren, she's saying, look, it's my 9th professional fight. I'm still there. Look at what Natasha's achieved. I'll get over that.
Talk to us about Karis and Raven then. Karis has been out, as she said it herself, she's been out for a year. It's like she's had a nightmare of a year. But she's back in now, and she's going up against Raven. That's been more active. Just come off a loss against Sky Nicholson. Talk to us about that fight. I like that fight.
I do too, and I think Karis she come in with a bounce in her step. Happy to be in the mix, and why she should be on this bill. This should happen. I think it's the first time they've both actually boxed on the same bill.
Yeah, it is.
And so again, that's something that we probably didn't see would happen at this stage. But for Karis, I think it's a chance to see the talent, the female talent that's here in the UK. It's a chance to see that. I'm not sure if I've got it wrong, but I don't know if Fran Hennessy is on the bill or not. I don't think she is, but I've seen mix.
She might be.
I've seen mix, so she may be. And I look.
You think so?
Caroline Dubois, she's on the bill. So,
I know.
Yeah, you know what?
Caroline, how is she blossoming as a fighter? I mean, look at her performance in Sheffield the other day. Look, we knew the fight was only going to go one way anyway. she is improving so much, and she's aggressive and she's horrible. I remember I spoke to you the other day. The fight I'd like to see in the future is Caroline and Lauren. Said
That
it.
will happen.
I know we discussed it last time. So,
That's a matter
and
of
it's
time.
like they're getting closer and closer towards that.
We probably don't want to focus on it because it's kind of disrespectful.
I hear that.
Natasha.
Oh no, never.
But that will
A fight for the future.
Yeah, without a doubt. And both of them have got a spike edge about them. I'm like, all right. This is,
I don't think there'll be any water dashed on any at the press conference. I think that will be fire against fire.
I think they'll need security up there. Without a doubt.
I know it sounds like a bit of a random. Well, it isn't actually. Obviously, your experience in boxing and your time that you've spent in boxing, the evolution of the sport itself and the inclusion of females in it. I know it's 2020-25 and we're still talking about inclusion, but your thoughts on that?
I've always said boxing has now become a business disguised as a sport.
Business disguised as a
And
sport.
you look at women in boxing, and initially it was kind of ignored. But then the women in boxing show we're putting on better fights than most of the men are. So you've got to respect it, and they've demanded respect, and they well deserved respect in regards to the performance they're putting on. The performances are honest. The performance are what fight is about. So now it's not about women boxing or men boxing. It's about the fact that you've got to respect the fighter that's in the ring, and that's what I do. That's how I look at it. You look at Clarissa. She's a don. And you just know what to expect. And unfortunately, there's a level of not very good and really good.
Okay,
And it's
there's
that
a
level
big
it's that level in
disparity.
between.
Yeah.
Once that's filled, then this won't even be a conversation.
Well, speaking of that, we've got Savannah Marshall to our left, the viewer's right. So Savannah Marshall coming back too.
Yes, she is. You know what, Savannah? Because I know she was out in Thailand and
She was doing MMA, wasn't she?
doing anyway. And they all of a sudden were talking about the word of her fight Clarissa at heavyweight.
I saw that somewhere.
Whet her appetite to think, all right, I'll have some of this. Get me back in. And again, Savannah, she's a talent, but she's just not like everybody else, where she's desperate and hungry. She's chomping at a bit. She keeps feet on the ground.
Yeah,
and if she ain't boxing, she's hanging around. She's going to do something else. So it's up to boxing to keep her here.
So 2025 then for Sky Sports and Boxer. I'm sure I saw a tweet somewhere, and this is me saying I saw a tweet somewhere, then it creates total chaos, that Sky were reluctant to air Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. I can't remember, I think it was something might have been, allegedly, don't quote me on this, something to do with the weight. Have you seen anything about that?
No.
Are you going to be airing that fight?
I have no idea. As far as I know, it's news to me.
Okay. Maybe it's just a rumour
It's
then.
news to me, so I have no idea. But then, when these whispers pop out, I'm just thinking, who is it that's in the boardroom when these decisions are made that's coming out and telling everybody? I have no idea.
Well,
I don't know.
what do you think of the fight?
I think it's a really good fight. My big question was, what's the Boxing Board of Control's stance on this?
What do you mean?
And, well, what have they said? Is Conor being passed? Has he been given his license? Have they got an issue with this fight? The Boxing Board have been mysteriously quiet about all the announcements and everything. So
are you fishing for something? Because mysteriously quiet, if they had a problem with it, they would have been the first to come out and say it.
Well, have they been approached about it?
I don't know, but usually...
And this is what I'm saying. So now I'm waiting for the British Boxing Board.
I think you're stirring up. You're stirring up.
Stirring it.
You're stirring it.
Because
It's usually me that does that.
The party line previously from the Boxing Board of Control is Conor Benn doesn't have a British Boxing Board of Control license, so he has to make an application.
Does he need one to box in? No, it's in the UK. What am I talking about?
Yeah, and so I'm just curious to see what.
Are you curious?
I am curious because.
Or are you just looking to stir up a bit of...
I'm stirring up. It's that question. There's questions that people just there's obvious questions that people just don't ask.
Obvious questions.
You look at AJ doing a showmance with Martin Bacoli, and everybody's forgotten about, well, why is he not fighting Danny Dubois again? You know what I mean? Why is that?
Do you think he was going to fight him again? Because I just made the assumption that fight wasn't going to happen again.
The assumption that there was a rematch, and he didn't do a rematch because he was injured. And so AJ wants to do a legacy of... God, we're always talking about AJ, sorry. Link. His
No, it's all
legacy
right. We can talk about everything. It's
becoming
boxing.
heavyweight champion for three times. So why not go that way?
Well, nothing's been set in stone with Joshua,
but
though,
what
is it?
No, I'm just posing the question out there. So, like I say about the boxing board, it's the
Yeah.
same about AJ. I'm curious like everybody else. You know, and that's all I am.
I think
just speaking out loud.
I think you are curious, but also I do think you're stirring it up a bit.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going to happen, do we? Yeah, like you said, AJ was injury wise not going against obviously Daniel Dubois, but Daniel Dubois has got Joseph Parker to think about. We have to park everything else. There's been no fights or anything announced for him. He's kind of like they're just rumbling around in the background doing what he's doing until something is announced. He's not going to fight Daniel Dubois yet anyway, because Daniel Dubois is fighting Joseph Parker.
All right, okay, that's what I'm saying. So there's no date being announced for him. You know, he's still hovering around doing what he's doing, talking about fighting Tyson or XY.
Well, Tyson's retired again, hasn't he?
Retired Jack Diddley. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not giving that any fuel. So we'll just leave that one there. What do you think about Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois?
I think it's Daniel Dubois now start to get on a roll in regards to wins he's got. A fighter that now believes in himself, and now it's a fight that's proven to everybody. He's got to prove to everybody, you know what, I'm on the right track here. So I'm good now. So that one is not a done deal.
Not a done deal.
But I'll be interested to see if and how he dispatches Joseph Parker.
How do you think Joseph is at the weight? Because he's looking a lot heavier. I mean, I'm going to be speaking to him hopefully this week, catching up with him, obviously post press conference. But how do you think he's doing at that weight? Like, because he's heavier, isn't he?
Yeah, he's
Joseph
heavier,
is a good boxer.
Joseph's a clever boxer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's got that boxing brain.
He's not got the crash bang whack one heavy shoot, but he's a clever boxer.
He's a thinking fighter.
Which is why I think this isn't a done deal with Dubois and him, because he's got a good boxing brain. I think Dubois is a fighter that remembers, doesn't have the ability to think in the ring. Where Joseph Parker does have the ability to think in the ring, which makes it.
If Daniel lets him think, we saw what he did to Anthony Joshua. He didn't let him reset. He didn't let him do anything at all.
The muzzle off, and that's what I'm saying.
Muzzle off.
Yeah.
Muzzle is off. Spot on.
So therefore, with Joseph Parker, his thinking is going to be, it's got to be a must. He can't do what Dubois is doing and just go hell for leather. Can't do that.
There was another fight that I was going to ask you about, and that's it. Isaac Chamberlain's out with injury now for Vidal Riley. Do you think we could call in Chev Clark?
Could happen, but...
Do you know, have you heard anything?
I've not heard anything. Could happen because
that's a fight we'd like to see. I know he's not got the belts anymore because he lost them to the French gentleman.
Vidal will be frustrated. Vidal will still want to get out there, so they've still got to put an appetising fight in. And
that's appetising. That wets my taste buds.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. And you know what? It makes sense as well as a fight to put together, but we just got to wait and see.
Interesting. All right, then I better leave you to it. But it's always a pleasure. Mr. Tickle. It's Roman. Oh, that's nice. Answer your phone when I phone you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. It's a lovely Johnny Nelson that was all smiles on camera. Take my hands off you. At least I'm putting them in appropriate places, mate.
I'm not that guy, man.
Are you? No.
Right.
We're going to go. We're going to go.
Cut the thing.
Hey, should you put in your hands?
People say I'm toxic, and honestly, I don't care.